Very, very talented player.
Well-known wild Nactil enthusiast.
Yeah. Also, somewhat famous for his Battle of Wits deck.
Yeah, the aggro wits.
Yeah.
Yep. He likes Wild Nacatl in every format except for Cube, where he just plays red cards. So Michael Flores leads off with a turn 1 Gitaxian Probe.
He's going to see a pair of Blade Splicers, a Wormcoil Engine, and 4 lands.
Not a bad hand for Kenny.
Well, the Blade Splicers are pretty good against Mike.
It all comes down to whether or not this second card for Mike is a Delver or not.
If Mike has a Delver on turn 1, it's really bad for Kenny here.
I also enjoy that Michael Flores is wearing, having the Who's the Beatdown sleeves.
He was laughing to me before the tournament. He said, "Can you believe I had to pay for these?" And I was like, "Can you call copyright infringement or something?"
Kenny leads off with a Razorvine Thicket.
Yeah.
And Delver, as it does, immediately reveals an instant or sorcery. Summon Taxian Probe. Comes in for 3.
Unbelievable that it does that with the
It is unbelievable.
It does, because it's really only supposed to do it 1 in 3 times when you're not pondering.
Yeah, well then, out comes a Runechanter Spike. Now, I've noticed that it does it a lot more for my opponents than it does for me. You know, kind of like how my opponents mulligan a lot less than I do, but whatever. Kenny, another land, and Mike's unopposed coming out here with, looks like he's going to have, yep, another Taxian Probe, paying 2 life for it. Sees if Kenny has anything new and interesting. Looks like there is a Fiend Hunter. I believe that's what that card over there is.
Yes, it is a Fiend Hunter.
Okay.
Kenny making things nice and easy for Mike. Separates the cards that Mike's already seen and the cards Mike has not seen yet.
It's a real nice gesture. I like that. Kenny Mayer, gentleman and scholar. More than willing to help Michael out. Mike looks like he drew a Ponder. And he has a Gut Shot. So he can get this Pike up pretty big, but he wants to protect, he really wants to protect this guy. I didn't see a counterspell in his hand.
I don't know if there's any way he can protect this guy at this point.
If he has a Mana Leak, he hasn't played a land, well, I guess he...
Well, I don't think he has a Mana Leak.
Yeah,
right,
well, I was thinking he could
ponder into it.
But then he'd have to ponder into both that and a land, so... Unfortunately, there's not a whole lot he can do other than just pondering and hoping to get another 1-drop. If you get a second Delver, then that guy's not quite so scary. Kenny allowing Mike to actually read Fiend Hunter, so he knows what it does. Again, I'm glad he did that as opposed to making him call a judge for it. This is two gentlemen sparring. I like that. I appreciate that.
Save some time.
Yep. Pike on and attack.
And he falls to 11 here. Yeah. The Fiend Hunter is going to stem the bleeding, but Mike is going to draw a Vapor Snag next turn, which gives him access to Vapor Snag on the Fiend Hunter with the Runechanter Spike in play. End step. And he has a sword in his hand too, so that can be pretty good. Yeah, so he, Mike looks to be in position to win this game. And I can't tell if that other, yeah, there we go. Getting the right card underneath it. If the other card in his hand is a Divine Offering or a Midnight Haunting, but it looks like a Midnight Haunting. I think it's a Midnight Haunting, yeah. Again, Midnight Haunting also with the Pike and the sword. Yeah. Very good, just being able to end step, make some guys, and then... And Gut Shot basically just does 2 damage because it +1's the Pike. I actually might have Gut Shot him on my turn just to get the Pike up 1 more, take another 9 instead, but... Yeah, that makes the Haunting lethal. Yeah. But he might be, like, you know, trying to keep him off of an acceleration considering he has a Wormcoil in his hand. And that's very reasonable. I mean, if your opponent's playing these colors, you can very easily assume that they have cards like Birds of Paradise and Land Elves or Addison's Pilgrim in their deck. And he knows that all that Kenny had was just lands, and he had 4 lands, and, you know, it takes a long time to cast a Wormcoil Engine the hard way. And it looks like Kenny has drawn more lands, which is good for him. He, I don't think he has a Hunt Master or anything there. So he's probably just going to follow up with the Blades Placer. Yep. Brings in a 3/3 Golem, which has first strike. Do the Blades Placer.
Blade Splicer, a very strong card. I've played that in a few of my blue-white Delver decks recently. Zombies has become pretty popular online, and Blade Splicer crushes them pretty hard.
Yeah, Zombies is real big. And an Ab, no. Yep, Absence.
Now, the fact that Mike did not play that gut shot before now is going to prevent Kenny from being able to
cast Wormcoil
next turn. Yeah.
Yep. Now this is the Midnight Haunting is going to take the. Let's see. That will take the Pike up to 4. Gut shot would be 5. If you had a Ponder, that's 6, and that's 10. Looks like he's maybe 1 away. If he chooses to do it that way. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah.
Ooh, so Mike's tokens get replaced. He's not happy.
Not allowed to have the Joey and Joe Wormcoil tokens. Looks like that. Mullen Haunt comes out. The equipment comes out. Counts it up. It's going to be 5 and 1, so that's 6 total. If he has 2 instants, yeah, he should be able to just Ponder and Vapor Snag, Gut Shot, and then that's that.
Yeah, that's the game.
Ponder, revealing another Gut Shot, so that is even
even more game than it already was.
Now he's getting into Rubbin's territory.
He's just counting to make sure.
Yeah.
It's fine.
No, I'm saying when you Gut Shot,
yeah,
an attack, and then a 0, and then you show them the Straddle Blast in your hand. Yep, they're just, again, this is the good kind of math when you're Mike Flores and you're pointing everything out, double checking it. It's much worse when it's coming at you and you're starting doing the finger counting. It's usually a bad sign. Yep, Snag is going to bounce the Golem. That alone takes the Pike up to 6, 7, 8.
Kenny will fall to
9.
8 here and then gets attacked for lethal.
It falls to 9 and then the tokens come in for more than enough. Yep.
And Mike takes game 1.
Yeah.
So far we've seen Blue-Eyed Delver hasn't lost a game on camera.
It has
It's only
not.
played 3, but 3-0 in games.
I somehow doubt that that's going to hold up for the whole day, but
you never know.
You never know.
We'll see a mirror eventually.
That's true. That's true. Maybe they'll draw. The curse of Blue-Eyed Delver on camera. Cannot lose a game.
It's a pretty good curse to have.
That is a good curse, except that what's going to happen if there's a blue-white in a single elimination round? They can't draw.
Oh my gosh. The world might implode.
Exactly. I don't know how
Watch out.
blue-white and blue-white could draw, without time going, but maybe every single game it happens.
Man, I hope that doesn't happen, and the world can't end yet. I haven't seen the Hobbit movie.
It's coming out right around 2012, so right around the end of the year. Yeah. Right around December 12th, which is supposed to be the last day, so maybe they're just counting down to an awesome movie.
Yeah, I think that's probably what it was. The Mayans were just counting down to the Hobbit movie.
They knew
They
Steven
like,
Jackson.
This is the movie.
It's going to be the best movie ever. It was a nerd traveled back in time to Mayan era and just like, what's the last day? They're like, doesn't matter. After December 12th, 2012, and the Hobbit movie comes out, no other day matters. All right, so sideboards here. Mike has a pretty standard sideboard. One Batter Skull, 2 Ratchet, Dissipate, 1 Jace Memory Adept, 4 Mental Misstep. Actually, that's different. 1 Gut Shot, 2 Purge, and 2 Timely. The Timely's definitely coming in. Definitely. The Gut Shots are still good in his deck. Ratchet Bomb actually might be good here. There are a lot of zeros in Kenny's deck, or a few zeros, a couple 1s.
He doesn't have Metamorphs or images anywhere, right?
No Metamorphs, no images.
That's interesting.
Yep, most of us have image now, but yeah, so he's just totally gone away from that, and so he does not have doesn't have a great sideboard against this match. I mean, his deck seems fine game 1 to begin with, so we'll see. Is this anything good in Kenny's sideboard?
Yeah, I mean, Kenny has a Daybreak Ranger, which is really good against Mike.
That is very good.
He can Birthing Pod for it, obviously. Kenny also has 2 Combust, obviously very good against Mike's deck.
I think Hero's pretty good here, too.
I don't know how much I love Hero against any Vapor Snag deck, but...
that's true. Mike not having Dismembers. Like, the move away Dismember is big.
That's a big reason. Yeah, I could probably make an argument. If I saw the Gut Shots, I guess you might bring in the Heroes. But I didn't think about that until you mentioned it. So I probably would not, but it might have been a mistake.
Yeah, I mean, like Vapor Snag is good against it, but like you mostly worry about Dismember, and when you are bringing in so much, I think like, when Kenny's bringing in so much good hate, like Mike's not going to have any, he's not going to have no Wrath of Gods or anything.
You also bring in a Thalia.
Yeah.
Thalia.
Yeah, I like Thalia.
And Mike's deck has a lot of things that cost like 1 or 0 mana.
Yeah,
his whole plan is like, oh, I'm gonna sit here and just cast spells for free and
his
kill you
horse,
very quickly.
Just casting all these 1 mana spells and sticking it to him. And Kenny Myers is just gonna be like, no, Thalia, pay your taxes.
Thalia is so good. I always forget that it has first strike. And I'm like, what just happened? Somebody dies and the Thalia's still on the board. And I'm like, oh yeah.
You ever realize Remember has first strike mid-block? That's always fun. You're just like, oh, they're attacking with Thalia. Thank God I can get rid of this person. Block. Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's not just a 2-mana Glow Rider.
Why is there this first combat step going on?
They put a keyword on it. It's really exactly what you want in that type of card, too.
It is. And there's not a whole lot of 2/3s running around, or even 3/3s. Everything's like a 1/1 or a 2/2.
Yeah, or even like a 3/2.
Yeah.
We can't trade their Delvers with it.
Yeah, you can't trade a whole lot with it. Thalia.
Kenny looking directly into the camera. Hey, Kenny, what's going on?
Staring into our souls. And the souls of everybody at home. Oh, let's see. So, who do you like in the game, too, considering that Kenny is on the play?
I think Kenny is a pretty big favorite in the match in general.
I would agree. I like, the gut shots are going to help out Mike a whole lot.
Yeah, and the fact that Mike still has Gut Shot is kind of a huge boon, and Kenny's probably a little disappointed to see that because it's not something that his deck is really that well suited to handle.
You'd really much rather have people have Dismembers at this point.
But Kenny's deck is decent against the Delver deck. The only problem is that Blue-White Delver on the play does not have a bad matchup. So when you win it really doesn't.
No, you're right.
If you win a die roll with Blue-White Delver, you have to be happy against anything you're playing against.
Yeah. No, it's true. I mean, the Delver, it's on the draw. There's a lot of decks you're like, I'm not really happy with this, but on the play, and that should be interesting because I don't know if you saw the tweet last night, but they will be doing the new play draw rule for the top 8, and that means that if you're playing Blue-White Delver and you go undefeated, and there's a round where you can draw in, maybe play it out. You could imagine being Blue-White Delver in the top 8.
Being Blue-White Delver in the top 8 and getting auto play every match, that's kind of unreal.
Be nice.
I really like that new rule, by the way.
I do too. It's there will be times when it's very frustrating.
The Blue-White Delver example.
Blue-White Delver example. It's actually more interesting for limited because you can draft a deck that wants to be on the draw, and then always get the draw. I like that.
I like that too.
All right, Kenny leads off the forest, and Mike has a Secret Coast, no 1-drop. Looks like Mike might have brought in I think I see a Metal Misstep in his hand. Yep, he brought in the Missteps. He cannot be happy that Kenny has not played any 1-drops. Kenny might completely avoid the Metal Missteps entirely this game, which would be a little bit awkward. And the Birthing Pod.
Ooh, and Mike doesn't have a Mana Leak for that?
It's not.
This is kind of an awkward keep by Mike.
This is a pretty awkward keep. I mean, I think he had all the things to deal with. Geist is good there. I think he had all the things to deal with Kenny's early game, and then Kenny just didn't have an early game. Huntmaster and a token. Mike cannot be happy about this.
Breaks on.
Yeah, if he has
pretty hard.
Cannot be happy. I mean, it looks like his hand was really set up to deal with some early acceleration, and it just didn't happen. So instead, he doesn't have Mana Leak, so he has to deal with a Huntmaster now. He just drew a Stalker. He's got a Vapor Snag. I guess you can snag the token and
snag
attack.
The wolf.
and then maybe he'll block. You're not happy with that.
Really?
It seems like I wanted a double snag, but I can't imagine that's right. You at least want to trade with that Huntmaster. Now you could always just attack, and if he blocks the wolf, then snag it afterwards, and at least get in 4 with your.
And then you get in for another 4 with your next attack.
Yeah. Depends on how much you're worried about that Huntmaster.
It was also worth noting that Kenny, going down to 21 here, Kenny is at 22.
Right.
This Huntmaster is not just insane, it's actually bonkers.
Would you block here, or do you let that resolve? I think you just...
It depends what's in your hand, but I mean, if you don't have like a follow-up that you can pod into, then you probably don't, because you can Birthing Pod the Huntmaster into a 5, so you can just go get a Geisthunter Monk.
Geisthunter Monk seems pretty good right here, but yeah. he's going to block.
Okay.
He likes,
and that's reasonable too, depending on your.
Yeah, Geisthunter Trapped is a scary card. It's it seems like Kenny is probably a little bit ahead, and he doesn't want to let Mike steal this game the way that Blue White Delver does steal games. 4 mana into another Huntmaster.
Now this can become a Geisthunter Monk the same turn.
Yeah, this is going to become probably a Monk. I can't see anything else that I particularly want at 5.
Kenny is at 17 now, I believe.
Yeah.
Or, I'm sorry, is he he's at 18? No, 17.
So that Monk brings in 2 spirits.
15.
He is himself a 4/4.
Really? 15?
That's...
Because he went to 22 from the thing, then he took 1 from the snag, went to 21, then took 4 from the angel, went to 17, then took 2 from Birthing Pod to go to 15, but gained 2 off the Huntmaster play this turn. So he's at 17. If he's at 15 by their life totals, it's actually incorrect. So we should have our person contact the judge and tell them that he's actually at 17.
That is very important in this matchup. Mike pondering. He sees another Geist and a Island and a Delver. Those are not none of those cards is really what you want right here, unfortunately.
Not at all.
You kind of want to kill that Geisthunter Monk, and the Delver has no way to flip, and you already have a Geist in play. I mean, I think you just have to shuffle that back.
It's really rough too, because next turn after the Geisthunter Monk attacks, it becomes an Inferno Titan, and then if you don't deal with that, it's an Elesh Norn, and the game's over.
Yeah. Not that Inferno Titan isn't already pretty close to that, but just in case there are any questions.
I mean, Geisthunter Monk is pretty much that anyway, right?
Right. It's just a steady progression of things getting worse and worse and worse. It's like a Russian novel. So Mike has looks like he's going to play maybe a Pike or a Stalker. Yep, Stalker. He potted away the Huntmaster.
But he was at 19 from the Huntmaster. The Huntmaster made him game 2 from 17 going to 19, and then he potted and went to 17.
I think Mike is on the Runechanter Pike, randomly steal this game with Invisible Stalker plan, which, as far as plans go, is probably, about as good as you're going to get. Mike, once again, staring at the Metal Misstep in his hand and wondering what went wrong. Kenny's going to come in for 2. Oh, and that.
No, but Kenny was at 22 before everything started. Because the original Huntmaster put him at 22.
And Kenny is attacking now with 2 1/1 spirits and a 4/4 Geisthunter Monk. No realistic way for Mike to stop this without just bouncing a token and double blocking. But his whole plan in this game really does seem to be to steal it with Runechanter's Pike.
At this point, that's the best plan you could possibly have.
Out. It's going to come. Imagine Inferno Titan, though it could be a Wormcoil.
Yeah.
I think Wormcoil might actually be a better play right here because Inferno Titan's not going to do a whole lot.
but he gets the Inferno Titan. 3's Mike just goes to 11. Now Mike is facing down lethal, theoretically. Mike is, of course, have a Vapor Snag for it. It's not the creature in the world you most want a Vapor Snag. I mean, usually you want a Vapor Snag a token or something that doesn't have a come into play ability, but...
And the Inferno Titan's going to do its comes into play ability every time it attacks.
Yeah, but luckily, it can't, right. So he can recast it next turn, but Mike might have just enough time. At 11, he's only going to be able to attack for 4. So theoretically, he can actually pull this off with this Rune Shiner's Spike. That goes on the Invisible Stalker. Both come in. That will take Kenny down to a point where he is theoretically dead the next turn. Assuming that he has no way to gain life, no way to, to do anything else. Mike's doing the math. Oh, and he puts it on the Geist Hunter Monk. Or the Geist Saint Trap. Kenny's first going to block.
That's also going to keep the Geist alive.
It will keep the Geist alive.
Hey, you force Kenny to kind of win next turn or lose.
That's true. That's true. I think both methods probably are going to get there.
Oh, yeah, he originally cast the pod with Phyrexian mana. That's where the 2 life was coming up thing.
And Kenny Mayer taps out for Inferno Titan, taps into 1. Now he can't actually sack that and go get a Elesh Norn, so...
Mike put up a really good fight here, though.
He did. He can snag this Elesh Norn, but then he has to deal with it again. Now, I will say that Kenny only does have 1 white mana in play, so...
I believe he actually has a Plains and the...
Oh, he does have a Plains, so...
Yeah, Plains sandwiched between that forest and mountain there.
This is not Attacks for 6.
It's a big
Mike
attack.
2. If Mike has... if he had 7 Vapor Snags... and Kenny had 7 creatures, and Mike had 7 mana, that would be that. But... none of these facts are true.
Mike's deck with Snapcaster Mage, one of the few decks that's capable of having 7 Vapor Snags.
That's true. He can snag every turn, twice a turn, the rest of the game, and still not get there.
The Mental Misstep's still sitting in Mike's hand. He's probably a little frustrated with that.
I would be very frustrated with that. That's the problem with a card like that in this matchup, is that if they don't play their 1-drops, then, this late in the game, it's not like it does anything. Vapor Snag that. He'll have to deal 1 more. Oh, Midnight Haunting. That will block those 2 creatures. And so now, Kenny is just going to recast Elesh Norn, and we're in the same position, pretty much.
Could Mike have just blocked 1 and then lethaled with Rune Shiner's Spike?
Or
he doesn't have enough instance, I assume.
Well, the problem is that Kenny can just replay Elesh Norn if he has 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, he can just replay Elesh Norn.
Yeah. All right, so going up to 9 here with Huntmaster, then he can pot it away, get another 5 if he wants to, so he gets Acidic Slime.
Yeah, if he wants to, he can get a Acidic Slime called Rune Shiner's Spike. Take that out of play. You just don't have to deal with it. I think I personally would have just played the Elesh Norn right there, as opposed to playing the Huntmaster.
Yeah, just putting Elesh Norn on the table when your opponent's tapped out.
Yeah.
It's just so strong. That must be a far... Oh no, it is a Plains, you're right.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, he looks like he has a Plains and a mountain. Unless I'm mistaken, Elesh Norn costs 7, so...
Oh, it does. So...
we're going a different route.
But from the looks of Mike's hand, he's cooked.
There's not much. I mean, if he could have gone, land, Delver, Yeah, no. Not a whole lot to get out of that. So, Elish Norn. Do what an Elish Norn does. The Nornening.
The Grand card. She's got such a sweet hat.
There are many Cenobites, but there is no Cenobite grander than Elish Norn.
It's true.
The Lady Gaga of the Phyrexians. Yeah, and I mean, and I think we really saw why Kenny Mayer is favored in this matchup. You know, Mike just tooth and nail, blood, sweat, and tears, set up himself up so many ways to be able to win the game, and just none of it was enough.
Now the mental missteps, those aren't really for the pod versions of the deck, I don't think.
No.
But Mike didn't know that Kenny was on pod.
That's true.
And if Kenny's just like the aggro deck, or even if he's the red-green ramp deck, he still has like Gal Blast and things like that you want to worry about. But if he's the pod deck, the mental missteps, you kind of the bird or elf on turn 1, it's awesome. But past that, it's
right, and it's just so much less important. Like against the ramp decks, it's so much more important to get their ramp because they have nothing else to do, and they end up with all their cards rotting in their hand. But against the pod deck, they just have so many more sort of middle ground creatures, and you can stall them out as long as you want to. But they get a pod in play, they got to recover that with all their awesome one-ups against you.
And I don't know, Mike didn't see a single mana leak in the last game. I wonder if he actually sided out the mana leaks from missteps.
That would be an interesting choice on the. I mean, I could see that. I guess I could see that choice on the play, or on the draw rather, assuming that mana leak is not going to be incredibly effective. But there's no way that he's doing that into this game. I think he's probably vengeful enough of those mental missteps for sitting in his hand that those will go in for something else.
Yeah, he's gonna cut those.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know what else you could bring in here. You could bring in the Batter Skull if he hasn't already. Give himself something to do that might be able to deal with, survive an Elish Norn at least, if not deal with it. That is a scary, scary card for the blue-white Delver decks. Until they start, splashing Doomblade.
And even then, it wraths you on the way in.
Yeah, it does.
It's rough. It's pretty funny that the best card against the deck that's full of 1 and 2 drops with mana leaks and Snapcaster Mages is a 7-mana creature.
Yeah. That shows you just how standard, I mean, they're just so diverse that you really do have 1 drops fighting against 7 drops, and it's you don't see that in a lot of formats.
Certainly do not.
Usually it's either decks that are all over the top or decks that are just not. And this is also this seems to be like one of the least Floresian decks possible. Flores, world's biggest fan of going over the top, is actually trying to go under on this one.
It's hard to go over the top these days because traditionally when everybody's really small, you just go in the middle and you win.
Yep.
Whenever.
And Mike starts off with a Gitaxian Probe, Forest, it looks like a Township, Birds, Ancient Grudge, Huntmaster, and a Blade Splicer.
Yeah, so Kenny's hand's pretty all in on this bird. If Mike kept those missteps in,
yeah,
he'd be doing pretty well right now.
And he has a Vapor Snag. He has I definitely saw a Delver. Ooh. So the problem with his hand is that he has no island. He's got a Plains, so that he can play. Yep. And he has to lead off with the Glacier Fortress. He did not draw an island to play it. So all of a sudden, Kenny leads off the Birds, which Mike knows he has to deal with. He can play a Plains here, but he can't cast a Delver and possibly deal with the Bird. He can Vapor Snag the Bird, but then he can't cast anything else. And this is another thing that does happen sometimes with this. It looks like there's a gut shot there, so he has some outs. This is something that does happen with Delver sometimes, is that you draw your Glacier Fortresses and everything is horrible. Because you need to be able to play, this Delver is going to come out on turn 3. Turn 3 Delver, not as scary as turn 1 Delver.
Yeah, no, I mean, Mike had a couple different options that turn. He hit the gut shot, so it turned out that things went well for him. But he could have just waited until, that worked out better.
There's a Geist. And yep, Kenny's deck is apparently punishing him without letting him draw the mana he needs. Geist, attacking for 6 with the Angel token. Checking out the math. Mike has a Ponder. He can play another Delver if he wants to. I'm sure he's probably looking for a mana leak just to sort of lock this game up almost. Scared to think that it's like turn 3 and you're talking about locking the game up, but knowing what's knowing what's in Kenny's hand. I mean, he just, as long as he can keep Kenny off of a Blade Splicer or off of a Huntmaster here.
Yeah, and he even has the Vapor Snag in his hand for the Blade Splicer, so it's...
You just want to see a Huntmaster. It's the only card that's super, super scary. But it does have a Pike, I believe, in his hand.
And now he's going to have a Stalker to go with it.
Yeah, so and that's gonna hit hard. He did spend his first few turns doing basically nothing but playing 1 mana instants. Kenny, it looks like, did draw a red source, but I can't tell if it was a Crag or... Oh, he did draw a red source. Yep. And out comes the Pike. And Kenny extends the hand, yeah.
Yeah.
He just kept the hand. You're right, it was all in on bird or draw another land, and sometimes you don't.
Yeah. Sometimes you go all in on the bird and you just lose.
Yeah.
So Blue-White Delver wins another match.
Another one.